With hundreds of products at Texsource, I think I'll ask Ryan what video I should do next.
Do a video on Crystalina.
Okay, so Crystalina is a specialty ink with gold glitter that I like printing over a white underbase. When I set up the art, I'll create the design as white and then create a chokeback version about half a point for the Crystalina that prints on top. So once I print out the films, it's time to burn and coat a couple of screens. I'm using a 156 mesh for the white and a 40 mesh for the Crystalina. The 40 mesh is very coarse but necessary to accommodate the flake size of the glitter. Once I get these screens taped up, it's time to show you how to print Crystalina. So we have our screens made and we're going to print Crystalina. I'm going to do 2 whites and then put the Crystalina on top through a 40 mesh. The screens are all taped up, and so I just need to get the first white down, and I'm just going to tighten that down. So I'm just going to use the standard 70 durometer squeegees on both of these. I'm going to print the print with the registration marks and then line up the Crystalina. Now, because of the nature of this design, it's a female design. It's got the heart in the center for Texsource. And so this is a design that I may be printing on a variety of shirts. So I want to go ahead and I'm going to use a white that's got some poly blocking, but is also a really nice soft white. This is the Union 1071, and this is probably my most favorite ink when it comes to printing whites and you have any chance of any dye migration or bleeding. So might as well use the best. But it's a lot creamier than a lot of the other poly inks that are very sticky and taffy-like. This one's a lot less, it's a lot more like just standard plastisol, I should say. And so I like that a lot. So I'm old school. I pull instead of push, so that's why you see me doing that. So I've got the first white down with my registration marks. So I'm going to move that over to the flash. And while that's flashing, I have split tape on the top, but on the bottom of screens, I like to use the quick rip tape. Now, if you'll remember in the artwork part of this, this second screen of Crystalina is actually choked back just a hair. And that's just something that I do that is a nice way to give yourself a little tolerance. And also the mesh itself, the 40 mesh, you know, ink wants to spread out a little bit. And if you're printing on a shirt that if the Crystalina bleeds over the edge, then you're going to have where you can see almost a little halo around it. So this is just a way to give yourself a little bit of that choke back. And honestly, I'm not even really looking at the registration marks. On something like this, everything's being covered with Crystalina except the established 1997. So I've got the Crystalina screen lined up, and I put a little of the Crystalina in the screen. And so we can do our first test print. Going through a 40 mesh, you want to print it once and really kind of look, did you get enough down? The mesh is clear. I didn't leave anything in the screen. There's some little remnants, and it's the first print. But for the most part, especially since you'll be flashing the white, the print's going to be warm and you'll be able to just backflood it once and hit it. And this actually, yeah, it's beautiful because it's very subtle. And I'll have to take some close-ups of this, but the glitter on this it's got a nice look to it. Now on lighter colors, if the white looks like it's covering well, then I'll probably only do one white. But for darker colors, I'm definitely going to do a flash print scenario. I want it to be good in white. With the Crystalina, you can put it on other colors, but the problem is it just doesn't look good, that gold flake. White is probably the best, or something that's pastel in nature. So remember that you want to try it out before you do it, because you try to put Crystalina over a navy or black or even red, it just doesn't look good. I think initially it was made to go over white to begin with. And that's its best use, in my opinion. Yeah, this 1071 really flashes quick. That's the other thing I like about it. And it's a low temp ink, not that I need it, but let's see, yeah. Yeah, if you just clear the mesh, then you're good. Oh yeah, they're gonna love that. That's awesome. And you might also notice, I don't have my conveyor dryer going right now, but you might also notice that the underbase screen has the established 1997, but the Crystalina screen doesn't. And I did that on purpose. You know, Crystalina is really, I think, great when it's used in not just covering the whole design by default, but allowing it to be a showpiece of the design. So in the past, I've used it with like butterflies, where you just have a couple butterflies and maybe some text, and then you put the white down and the Crystalina on top of the butterflies. Now I'm going to have to cure this later, but I just want it dry to the touch so that when I fire up the dryer, I can cure all the stuff that I've just had here to flash. People love the look of Crystalina on their designs. I hope this video was helpful, and I'll see you next time.